Okay, so there we go, and we'll just stop that. All right, so a very big welcome, everyone. Let me just get it to the right screen. Can you all see my screen all right?
Yep. Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Welcome to the masterclass. Just a couple of housekeeping notes. My name's Jonathan Quayle, and we'll be presenting. Just a couple of housekeeping notes. If you have any questions, pretty small, so we'll make it interactive. Just put up a hand or unmute yourself and speak your question, and we can make it a bit of an interactive session. I'm going to give you a taste of the kind of sessions I do every day. So the masterclass will be like a miniature version of what I do with a bit of extra stuff thrown in as well. So you'll get a taste of what I'm going to share with you in terms of like if you want to go forward with this, there is actually a program which I call the Art of Letting Go program, which you can get involved in if what I share tonight resonates. Okay, so let me just share the official title. So really what I'm going to share today is about how to let go. How do you master the art of letting go of any stressful thought or emotion in a matter of minutes, and find authentic happiness, fulfilling flow, higher purpose, ecstatic well-being, and true success to thrive through the adversity that so many experience in these turbulent times by tapping into the transformative power of 7 ancient spiritual techniques. So there's quite a lot there, but I'll unpack that as we go. So what I'm going to do now is just guide you through a two-step letting go process in a meditation, just to kind of settle everyone in. And it's a bit of breathing, a bit of breath work. And then that'll lead us nicely into a 10-step letting go process, which I'm going to guide you through. So to give you an experience, really, because that's what this is all about, is the experiential knowing rather than intellectual, theoretical knowledge. So I'm going to ask you just to make yourself comfortable, get into a nice meditation posture. And I'll just mute everyone. So you're all muted. So there's no background noise. And so just sitting comfortably, feet shoulder width apart. Back straight, cup your hands in your lap. Close your eyes. And start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. So breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. And clench your sphincter muscle. It's the muscle you use to contract the flow of urine. Squeeze the last drops out. That locks the energy in. It's the bandha, the root lock in yoga, if you've done yoga. So you might feel a little subtle rising of energy up the spine into your heart center. Breathe in again to your heart. You can put one hand on your heart just to connect in with your heart space, to this loving presence, loving awareness. Another sip of air in, so it's a maximal inhale breath, and feel like this energy is rising up the spine into the crown of your head. So just pausing at the top of the inhale. And so now just scan your mind and notice any thoughts, any emotions, any sensations, particularly anything negative, limiting, contracted, constricted in any way. I'm just going to breathe into that. And imagine you're breathing light in. So that could be a golden or white light, or just a sense of lightness if you don't visualize very well. The breath is associated with spacious awareness. Which is light. Light is true awareness. So you're just breathing this in and you're feeling a lightening of whatever that darkness is, that contraction in your mind. Maybe you sense that in your body as well. There's some tension in your body somewhere. So just breathe into any of those tense areas. And you can imagine or visualize this light flowing into that area and just dissipating the darkness. So it's acknowledging it and bringing in the light and being willing to let it go. So just be willing to drop all of this with the help of your breath. So exhale. You exhale, just blow it all away. Imagine a dark smoke, black cloud leaving you. It's dark energy just being expelled from your mind, your body, your energy system. It's going, gone. Pull the lower stomach into the groin. Expel the last remaining air out. And just rest here in peace and stillness for a few moments in the gap between breaths. You notice a gap opening up in the mind. Just a sense of restful, calm, empty, spacious awareness. But in the emptiness, there's a fullness. And so now just breathe in and out through your nose. We're just going to watch your breath for a few minutes. So breathing in through the nose, you notice the air flowing in to your nostrils. And then as you exhale, the air flows out. And you notice the stomach rising as you inhale and falling as you exhale. Pay particular attention to the subtle sensations of the air flowing into your nostrils and out of your nostrils. Just getting really nice and calm and relaxed, peaceful. Just going deeper with each breath into still, calm, peaceful presence. And just watch your breath. If any thoughts arise, just practice bringing your attention gently back to the breath and just focus all your attention on the subtle sensations. The breath flowing into the nostrils and then out of the nostrils. Of its own accord, your breath is just happening to you, through you and for you. You just step back and observe it. Just watch the breath. Nowhere else to go, nothing else to do. Nothing else to think about. It means relax and be still. With each breath, sink a bit deeper. Still, calm, peaceful presence. Any thoughts arise, just let them go by restoring your attention to the breath. Keep bringing your attention back to the breath. and getting calmer and more relaxed with each breath. Just clearing a space in your mind to do some very important work. I'm going to ask you to choose an issue that you're struggling with at the moment. Whatever that may be, it might be relationship troubles, financial problems, health challenges, whatever is probably most vexing you at the moment. Just keep watching your breath as you do this. You bring that to mind, and you notice now sort of change in the energy. It's more contracted, but denser. But you're in the witnessing presence. So you can handle this. You can look at this, you can observe this, and it's all okay. I'm going to guide you now through a 10-step letting go process, which will help you to let this go once and for all. No matter how deep-seated it is, no matter how long it's been going on, it can be let go of. So we're going to do that right now. So first of all, just breathe in, nice deep breath in, and as you do that, just acknowledge the thoughts and emotions about the situation and the person or people involved that are disturbing your inner peace. Step is essential to start the letting go process, because denial of negative thoughts and emotions leads to repression and suppression of them, which means that you're not consciously aware of the thoughts and emotions, and you can't move forward the process. So just acknowledge them, but there's a sense of an awareness behind them. You're fully present and aware. So keep watching your breath to stay in this aware state. Breath anchors you into your true awareness, which is why many of the ancient teachings, they have the same word for breath and life. Spiritus in Latin, pneuma in Greek. Hawaiians called it ha. And it's the same for the spirit of life and breath. So let the breath anchor you into this awareness. And this awareness is somewhat detached. You don't let yourself react emotionally to these thoughts and emotions. You don't sabotage this process. See yourself as separate from the thoughts and emotions you're observing. The mind of the person you thought was you previously. So you can kind of zoom out and just watch those thoughts, but there's no sense of a person thinking them. There's no personal investment in it. And this is the beginning of the full realization you'll one day have that you're not really this person at all. So just keep breathing deeply through your nose. If you find this difficult, you can briefly open your eyes and just raise your eyes to the ceiling, look upwards. And you keep your chin parallel to the ground, and that'll help you to clear your mind. It's a fabulous little tip. You just raise your eyes to the ceiling and it does something to the neocortex. So it just blanks your mind. And you go into what I call pure formless awareness, where there's just awareness but no conscious thoughts. And this is the awareness we're trying to cultivate here through this meditation and this letting go process. So having set the scene, you're aware of these negative thoughts and emotions without being overly attached to them, without allowing them to suck you down into some dark rabbit hole of your mind where they seem to be the only reality. You're now going to remind yourself that all of this, every thought, every emotion, every sense perception that constitutes this experience that you're thinking about is actually an illusion or a dream. And so remind yourself, because on some level you already know this. It is the truth. So you know it, you've just chosen to forget it, and now you're choosing to remember. So remind yourself that the world, the seemingly external world, and your changing perception of it, including this situation that seems to be upsetting you, is really an illusion, a dream created by your ego and mind to reinforce its false and fearful identity. So the dream isn't real and it's not really happening. So now ask yourself, why am I getting upset over nothing? Nothing really going on. It's just a dream. And this step may seem a bit impossible to you, maybe incomprehensible. Maybe you find some resistance coming up. So just observe all of that. Quietly, detachment. Truth is, this is only your ego's resistance to the truth. Ego being your separate self-concept. So just be willing to do it. Do it anyway. Do the step. By thinking that whatever you think and perceive about the situation and the characters involved in it, it's only an illusion or a dream. And use whichever term you find most helpful for you. Illusion, a dream, hallucination, fantasies. Many words point to the ephemeral, so it's temporary, everything's changing, nothing lasts. That's what ephemeral means. And so you're telling yourself, telling your mind the real reason that it should let go. And so you just keep watching your breath in between, nice, deep, slow, rhythmical breaths, breathing in and out through your nose. Your mind wants to wander, just bring it back to the breath. It's your anchor in this process. And now remember that all of this is really your projection. What does that mean? It means on some level your mind has created it. It's projected it out. You have an internal belief which has been externalized. So it all appears to be outside and independent of you. That's the illusion. There's really only one mind that is dreaming the dream of the universe, and the lives apparently being lived out in time and space in the physical universe. So whatever someone appears to be doing to you, you are in fact doing to yourself. Probably heard this concept before. It's about taking total responsibility, but it's not making this conscious, right? It's a projection of your own mind. So out of your own unconscious guilt that you've projected out into the illusion or the dream, you then manifest the form of the situation and the person who appear to be causing you to suffer. So whatever someone appears to be doing to you, doing to yourself, and really your suffering is then self-created and you're making yourself a victim. Again, just as you listen to these words, and you know, if you notice any resistance, just observe that resistance in the same quite detached way. So it's your own projections that lead to your perceptions of the world. Projection leads to perception, and then perception reinforces the projections. So we get caught in a feedback loop, a cycle which seems to be impossible to break out of. Until you realize that actually you're doing it to yourself. It's always you who are responsible for creating your reality. And so in this difficult position, So the human experience is characterized by much difficulty because the nature of the dream. You can have compassion for yourself. So be compassionate towards yourself and all others involved in the situation that you brought to mind, knowing that you and they are doing the best they can in their current state of consciousness. And all unconscious, unloving behavior happens because people do not feel loved. And it is, in fact, a cry for love. So rather than your judgment, condemnation, what they really need is your forgiveness. You need to just let go of this. So any judgment, any condemnation makes the situation worse, strengthens your ego. It's very destructive to your peace of mind and to others. To recognize that you really do want to let this go in your own mind. Be free of it once and for all. So in this very calm, aware, compassionate state, I want you to feel the emotions. So really just breathe in again and just let yourself feel whatever the emotions are fully. So if you felt some of that in step one, just amplify it now. Give yourself permission to feel these emotions, evoked by the thoughts you brought up in step one, fully experiencing all the pain, discomfort, suffering, all these emotions, very briefly. It's not nice, but just have the courage to do it. While you remain very aware that this is just part of a healing process. So you don't allow them to create a downward spiral of negativity that becomes hard to pull yourself out of. And don't spend too long on this, just observe the emotions, breathe into them. As you breathe in, you might notice a little dissipation. The breath has that effect, it just starts to dissipate. And you can imagine breathing in some light, golden or white light if you visualize, or just a sense of lightness. And now you can decide in this light that you do not want this painful, negative feeling inside of you to disturb your inner peace and cloud the awareness of your true happy self ever again. And so you choose to release it by just letting go of all the effort it takes to hold on to the thought and the emotion. So exhale. Blow it all away like a dark cloud, leaving you. It's going, gone. To the nothingness that it really is. Pull the lower stomach into the spine, expel the last remaining air out. Exhale fully. Feel the light as you breathe in again, flowing in. Replace this dark energy. And then just rest here for a couple of minutes in deep silence, just experiencing the freedom inner freedom that's always there. You can maybe appreciate the perfection. The mirror of the situation has helped you to see, because it helps you to see or perceive your own ego, your own negative thoughts and emotions, your own beliefs, false beliefs. So you've seen that in the situation, seemingly outside of yourself. So just keep watching your breath as you do this, and invite this presence, beneficent presence of light, presence, truth. It's all the same. These words are just pointers to this deep presence. And recognize that this situation is perfect in its apparent imperfection because it's brought your unconscious guilt and fear, anger, any other egoic emotions that you're experiencing. So just feeling that perfection and the imperfection. What you're doing is bringing into awareness what may have been suppressed or repressed for many years. Bring it into awareness so it can be released. So you can be free of it. So it's no longer in your subconscious or unconscious mind. So maybe you can get a glimmering of the freedom, the peace, love, the joy that lie in this acceptance. Everything is actually perfect in its imperfection. So now just be grateful. Grateful that you can experience the love that you really are, the peace and joy. Can let go of all negativity, no matter what it is. You can always choose to let it go. Thank the person or the people involved, the entire situation, for being your teacher and for giving you the gift. So just feel that gratitude, breathe it in for all the gifts. This situation and the person or people involved brought your ego's negative thoughts and emotions to your attention, so you can release them and you can be freed from all the suffering they've caused you and others. And that's truly a cause for gratitude. So inhale the gratitude into every pore, every cell, every muscle, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being. And just rest in this state of gratitude and just check, is there any lurking anger or resentment? So if there is, then it's not complete gratitude and you need to start again and go through the process again. So whatever it is, just if there's any kind of block to the awareness of love's presence, just move forward with the process. So now you're going to just remind yourself that all is forgiven and released. Forgiveness means released. It's been let go of or released. The whole situation, your attachment to it, your interpretation of it, the meaning you've given it, your judgments, all of it, the whole thing is gone. Say to yourself, that situation has been dissolved into the nothingness that it was, you and everyone else. Say to yourself as an affirmation of this: I forgive you, I release you, I let go of the negative thoughts and emotions towards you. That's really what forgiveness means. Must let go of those negative thoughts and emotions so that you're not triggered anymore. That person, situation just has no effect. To say as an affirmation of this forgiveness or letting go: I forgive you, or I let go. Let go of all my negativity. I say I forgive you, or I release you, name the person, and so I am forgiven or released completely. All is forgiven and released. We always are, have been, and will be one self. And always are, have been, and will be one self. Say that to yourself in your mind. And then address the other person, people involved, and say, so I love you unconditionally as myself. That's capital self. I love you unconditionally. And say namaste, which in Sanskrit means divine in me honors the divine in you. So you see that the other person has the same words. So then just rest for a couple of minutes in this unconditional love, deep peace and silence. There's nowhere else to go, and there's nothing else to do, nowhere else to go. Just breathe, observe the breath, relax, be still, and surrender into this forgive and release state of mind. Feel the freedom this brings you right now in the present moment. The next couple of minutes of deep silence, will just be quiet and just allow yourself to experience this presence of unconditional love. The next 2 minutes of deep silence. And thoughts come in to seemingly distract you, and just focus on the breath. Bring your attention back to the breath. And remain rooted in this deep presence. So beyond all thoughts, emotions, sense perceptions, there's this deep presence, stillness. Just allow that stillness, which is true awareness, your pure formless awareness, perfect love, we call it, which is your true self. Just allow that to arise in your mind, in your heart for the next minute or so of deep, undisturbed silence. So just gently coming back to an awareness of the body and the breath, the senses in the world. And on the count of 3, to open your eyes. So 1, just breathing in. Noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. You pause at the top of the inhale, just check in and scan your mind, noticing any thoughts and emotions and any related sensations going on in the body. Just kind of breathe into them, and inviting this empty, open, spacious awareness to replace whatever those are. So exhale, just blow them away with the breeze of your breath once again. Sense of releasing and letting go. As in blowing out a dark cloud, black smoke that helps you. Going, gone to the nothingness. They really are. Just illusions. Imagine they're like clouds. Sky just being blown away, and they cannot really obscure the blue sky, which is your pure formless awareness, or the light, your source, shining through it, which is love itself. So as you exhale, notice the stomach and the chest contracting. Notice the weight of your body pressing down into the chair, feet touching the ground. Notice what you're feeling, your hands, your body. It's a subtle flow of air on your skin. Breathing in, notice any smell in your nose. Maybe there's a subtle taste in your mouth. And notice what you're hearing. in the surrounding environment, just noticing all these things from this very still, calm, and surrendered state of mind. So you're going to just stay connected to the state for the rest of the masterclass by watching your breath. So just keep some attention on the breath. Keep you rooted into this awareness, and let this awareness guide you and help you to learn what you need to learn and interpret correctly what you're going to hear tonight, see. So it is said and so it is done. And so on the count of 3, open your eyes. Just take a minute to look around. Just come out of a deep meditation. So always take a minute to ground yourself back in. And just do a little perceptual exercise. So notice any object in the room around you for a few seconds and just observe it without any judgment. So there's no naming it, judging it, labeling it, interpreting in any way. And notice that really the same awareness that you had when your eyes were closed is still there, underlying this perception. And look at something else, any other object. Don't select anything particularly or avoid anything particularly. And notice that very peaceful, calm awareness comes from non-judgmental perception, is still there. It's exactly the same awareness. It hasn't changed one iota, irrespective of which object you look at. And then look at any objects randomly, just half a dozen objects for a few seconds at a time, and notice that you have that same awareness behind each one. So you training your mind, you're learning that there's really only one awareness, and it underlies all of your sense perceptions. And this then becomes the truth that will set you free, as Jesus said, to just be rooted in this awareness, which hopefully this meditation has helped you to do. Let go of some of the blocks to that awareness, just the awareness of love's presence, and just to let go of those blocks. So that brings us to the end of the meditation. So anyone would like to share anything, now's the time. Right, Faith's got to go. Okay, no problem, Faith. Thank you for joining. Yeah, so let's just unmute everyone. Everyone's still with me? Sally's there. Yeah, so any comments or questions on that?
Yeah, it was really good. Yeah.
You've done the 10-step process before.
Yeah, but as you leading it through makes a difference, doesn't it? I was focusing on a tooth that's a bit out of alignment in my mouth, and the word that came up for me was revenge. Just the emotion, revenge. I would never have got there on my own, I don't think. And yeah, so loving it, and yeah, that's really good. I wouldn't, yeah. I know I was going to say it again. I wouldn't have got there on my own, but yeah.
Well, it's often the advantage of some, facilitation. It's just kind of leads you in. You don't have to really do anything. Just listen to the voice and let it guide you into a process, which can reveal things like that. Revenge. So you're taking revenge on yourself through the tooth.
How bizarre.
Yeah.
But you have to be ready to get there, don't you? You have to be in the right place to for it to drop in. So you were holding the space beautifully for that. So thank you.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Let's hear from Patricia. Anything to share, Patricia?
I just hope it was recorded.
Yes, yeah, it was recorded.
I did get distracted. Unfortunately, I had a couple of things I had to do, but I mean, I'm still feel very, very quiet. I feel as though I need to go to sleep actually in a minute. I've been
Yeah,
going
well,
to bed early.
stay with me. It was quite a deep meditation. But what I wanted
Yeah.
to give you was an experience of
Mhm.
what we're talking about, because we can talk and concepts are great, but that's an actual experience of the state of mind
Mhm.
that these teachings can take you into. That 10-step process,
Mhm.
which you can see on the screen, hopefully, is a summary of the teachings of A Course in Miracles put into a 10-step process that you can actually work through. So I'm going to give you that. If you
Okay.
decide to stay for the whole masterclass, I'll give you that to say thank you. And if you decide to join the program on a free trial, I give that to you anyway. It's all available in my messages, daily messages I send out. So and we to really understand this, there's quite a lot of depth in this process, as you can see. You really need to understand some of the metaphysics.
Yeah.
And behind A Course in Miracles, which I'll talk a little bit more about. So that's the first part of the masterclass done, which was really experiential. We had a taste of breath work. There's a breath work process. There was a 10-step letting go process, which involved 10 steps that are essential if you're going to let go of anything. So
I wonder if Eden had anything to share.
yeah, does she? Is she in? Any thoughts?
I nearly fell asleep, actually. I went into a deep sleep.
Ah,
Just
okay.
completely crashed out.
Yeah. Well, it can do that, you know. But was it sleep or was it a deep meditation? You know, it's often difficult to tell, but it's obviously.
No, well, I guess it was just couldn't keep conscious. I went completely. I do that sometimes in certain meditations. Just started to get knocked out completely.
Yeah, you go into what's called a delta state, which is equivalent to deep sleep, and then you're not conscious, but everything's going in on a subconscious level. So some level that that went in, and you can always do it again. I did record that, so I'll send you this document as well as the recording, so you can listen to it again if you'd like to. So it's a powerful process which really incorporates, as I said, the whole teaching of A Course in Miracles. So are you familiar with A Course in Miracles?
I've heard of it, but I've never read it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a lot of people have, and it's quite a difficult book to really unpack on your own. So I've designed a program that really guides you through it step by step. It's 365 lessons, one sort of mind training lesson every day, and then there's a text which is the theory, and there's a manual for teachers. So to really do it properly will take you a year, because you've got 365 lessons. It's one a day, and then the text is 31 chapters. It's a substantial volume. So it's a 1 year, really designed a 1 year program to walk you through it day by day, and every day there's different teachings and different lessons related to the course, but I bring in other kinds of teachings as well, from Buddhism and some of the Eastern teachings, mystic teachings, and so on. So I'm just going to so let's just gone back there. I had it all nicely set up, but never mind. So I'm just going to share this email. So this will give you a taste of the kind of thing. So this is one of the daily emails I send out. As you can see, this is day 255. So we're quite well into our program, given it's nearly the end of the year. And every day I send out an email like this, as well as a Telegram message, which has these images. It has text, so you can actually. I'm going to just speak to this a little bit. And then in our live sessions, we do a live discussion session, a meditation session every day, except Saturdays, so 6 days a week. We actually read this and discuss it, and it becomes quite interactive. So the idea of the program is it's a deep dive. You can really immerse yourself in this, as Sally has. Sally's probably the best student of it. She's really taken it on board and shows up for most sessions, and that's pretty life-changing. Maybe, Sally, I know you have to go because your bedtime's approaching, but maybe you can just speak for a few minutes about your experience of the program over the last 6 months.
Yeah, well, even the first 3 weeks, the free 3 weeks that you give, was life-changing. It was just really incredible. And so I signed up for the year, and nearly every day that I turn up one of the sessions, it's like, oh my God, that's amazing. And it's I just pop on my lunch hour, and we go through this email, and we go through the lesson of the day, and it's always relevant to life. There's always something that's happening that I can relate to it. And yeah, Jonathan holds the space really well and just helps anybody that needs any help to work through whatever's happening. It's been incredible. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, and I'd recommend, I mean, maybe just speak about your approach to the first 3 weeks, because that was probably what set you up for this, because you just said you're going to park everything else, didn't you?
Yeah, I was doing lots of courses and lots of books and seminars and all sorts, always on YouTube. And what I gathered in the first 3 weeks was that I was just scattering my energy all over the place, and that actually all the different traditions were all rolled together and were all showing up in the same place. So I just decided not to do all these other things and just focus on doing this. And because it is really extensive, it covers all areas. And it's actually saved me a lot of time, because then I don't go on these random workshops and pay for this and go on that and buy that book and everything. So yeah, in a strange way, even though I'm going on the call every day, most days, not all the days, most days, it's kind of saved me a lot of time, and it's kept me very focused, because the email that comes out every day, it's got everything I want on it. It'll have meditations, and it's got the theta practice. It's got things to read.
Well, I'll show you while you're speaking to that. So it's it's quite a long email, but
You'd have to do
it's
it
not
all.
necessarily meant to be read, all at once. It's kind of a reference point for the day. I mean, the initial teaching you can certainly read, but then there's a whole lot of resources. So it's a resource center. It's telling you about the daily live sessions. As you can see, I put links in there. So if you want to go and check out the lesson, you just click on that, and there the lesson pops up with documents. So that's your mind training lesson in the day. And then what I've done is translated some of these teachings into alternative language. So some of the language in A Course in Miracles is quite difficult. It's using traditional Christian language. So things like God, will, Son of God, Christ, salvation. And for a lot of people, that puts them off straight away, because they have sort of an allergic reaction to Christian teaching based on some past experiences. But those words are really just pointers to a deep experience. So we just change the language. So God becomes pure formless awareness of perfect love. Will of God is really the awareness of that awareness. Son of God is the extension of that pure formless awareness of perfect love. Holy Spirit is the remembrance of perfect love, and so on. So you've got all of these alternatives, which really help. I mean, maybe you speak to that a bit, Sally, because that's, I think, another feature. It just helps you to interpret it and get a deeper meaning out of what otherwise may have been a bit obscure.
Yeah, well, I had the book for years on my bookshelf, and there's no way I could understand what it was all about. Every time I picked it up, it was like reading the Bible or something. And it was just like, no, don't get it. And I tried joining little groups that went through it, and it's like, well, I was willing to do it, but couldn't really understand it. And it's only since I've met Jonathan, he's explained it. I go, oh, okay. And can actually experience it and feel it, because the words are experiences. They lead us into a sensation and a feeling, which is a really good thing to do in the middle of the day. I find I have clients all morning, and then I reset my energy at lunchtime, and then I've got lots of energy in the afternoon. And yeah, it's become a bit of a way of life, but a really substantially supportive, helpful thing to be doing. And because everything's in the same place, everything's on the email, if I get 10 minutes here and there, I'll just click on it and see what I'm drawn to do. And it feels really good.
Yeah, well, you know, what I can say is well done for you've dived in and committed, and you know, you get the benefits. So the resources are all there, but you've actually got to do it. If you don't read the email and you don't use it, and you have. So yeah, just to go back to the email, you get a daily schedule as well. So there's all kinds of resources. In the beginning of the day, you can do a theta meditation. There's shorter versions of that if you want. Then there's a process based on the Art of Letting Go course that I take you through in February if you're on the program, which then gives you this essence statement. What is your essence? So you say that. There's a helpfulness prayer, reading a statement of higher purpose. Now, you don't have to do all of this every day, but you know, it's all there. You find your own. What I say to people is, look, this is a resource center. You find your own way with this. You find a practice that works for you, fits into your time and energy constraints, and you'll get you'll get a lot out of it if you make it yours. And then there's each day there's different meditations. So there's a 23-minute meditation and a shorter 15-minute one, and then a 3-minute what I call a breath break to meditate on this particular lesson for the day. So there's a new lesson every day, 365 lessons in the year, and there's a meditation, usually a couple of meditations and a breath break, so that you can practice it every hour or as often as you can in the day. Just put the recording on and listen. So the idea is that you twice a day you're meditating in a longer period, and then you just keep topping yourself up in the day. Jesus, who created the program, recommends you do these short practice periods. I call them breath breaks, so that you just top yourself up frequently, and you stay connected to this presence, and that starts to rewire you. It starts to undo the default pattern of the ego, and help you to break some entrenched patterns of thoughts and behavior, systematically and progressively, day by day. So it's not a one hit one day. You don't go and do a big intense workshop for a retreat for a few days and then that's it. It's like this is ongoing, sustained practice. And if you immerse yourself in it, like Sally has every day, you do it, then you make significant progress. It's nothing different. I mean, if you've ever done physical exercise and you've gone to a gym, you'll know that if you just do a bit every day and you sustain that, then you get into quite good shape and you maintain your fitness well. You're not going to get into great shape if you do 2 or 3 days and then that's it, and you think, okay, well, I'm done now. I don't have to do anything for another month. So it's just steady, slow, progressive, systematic approach to this. And people, I've got a number of members, there's 20 odd members. People do it at whatever level they can. There's many people who only join once a week. There's some who never join live sessions, but they get the emails and they get all the recordings of the live sessions. So I'm posting this right now. It's recording live on my phone to Telegram, and then they get the recording so they can listen to it afterwards. So there's many ways of interacting with us. There's a lot of pre-recorded material. There's live material every day. There's live sessions, and there's the recordings of live sessions. And it's all accessible through, this is like your control panel for the day. You can go in and you can say, well, what shall I do now? Okay, well, let me click on that and I'll do a 3-minute breath break.
So, as promised,
and then there it plays. So I've tried to make it as easily accessible as possible. All the resources are there. to support you in a spiritual journey. And as Sally said, you know, the search stops. You don't need to keep searching because it's very comprehensive. There's more than enough material here to keep you busy for hours every day if you want. So you don't need to search anywhere else. It's all here. And the teaching is a very deep teaching. You know, it's the ultimate truth, which whatever path you take, you'll end up at. What I've seen in my studies and learning is that it's ultimately all the same. There's one universal experience. Universal experience is, as Jesus says, is necessary. It's not about universal theology. That's impossible. The universal experience, not only possible, but necessary. So that's just a little kind of taste of what this is and what it offers. And I offer 3 free trials. So if you'd like to join, just jump in tomorrow, or you could wait. If now is not the right time. I'm starting the program from day 1 again in February, beginning of February. So that's obviously a natural starting point because you started at day 1, lesson 1, and I designed it initially as a 6-week course, which is an intro into the 1-year program. So then the 6-week course you get in February and March, and then that leads you nicely into the 1-year program if you want to continue. So if you want to wait, you can wait till February, or you could decide to dive in, and there's still 2.5 months to go before that. And as I say, you know, it's 3 weeks, 3 free trials, so you don't have to pay anything initially. If it doesn't work for you, then, you know, it's fine. You know, no hard feelings. But it does seem most people who do the free trial and give it a fair go seem to continue with it. What I was going to do is just have a little look at the actual teaching for today.
I'm just going to hop off now. But very much.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining, Sonny. Thanks for sharing your experience. Appreciate that.
Bye, Eden. Bye, Patricia.
Cheerio.
Okay. See you tomorrow. Okay. So any comments or questions so far? I try to make these sessions interactive. It's not just a monologue. So any thoughts, comments, questions? No?
Not yet. Kind of, what, from your experience, what is how do you feel that you've changed by doing this and then teaching? Well, not teaching it, but when you did it yourself, how did you feel as a?
Well, all I can say is it's completely life-changing. And that's a cliche, as many you've probably every spiritual program says this is life-changing. So unfortunately it's a bit cliched, but it really fundamentally changes who you believe you are, changes your perception of life, what you think life is about, your purpose, the meaning you give to things. It's a complete reboot of your life. And so, you know, in ancient spiritual teachings, they call it being reborn. You know, you've been a reborn Christian. Well, most reborn Christians don't understand what that really means. It means everything changes. Your perception of everything changes because you've changed. You're no longer the same self. When I was, in the midst of my undoing of ego, I remember this thought coming to my mind saying, Jesus, Jono, this stuff's going to kill you.
I've got these lilies in the room, you know, the flowers, they make me sniff, make me sneeze. Oh, the flowers make me sneeze.
Hi, Patricia. Are you speaking to us or someone else? I think you're speaking to someone else. Okay, so I'm just going to mute you. So, completely life-changing. It's really, I've been on this path for 20 years, and I came to A Course in Miracles about 16 years ago, and I can't even remember how I used to think and perceive. It's quite difficult, so distant now. But I made the world very real. Everything was much more important and frightening and scary, and now that's all gone. It's just kind of smooth, free-flowing, mostly in what I call a state of flow. The ego still arises from time to time, but it doesn't last very long because I've done enough mind training to recognize it for what it is. and very quickly just let it go. So I call this the art of letting go, because that's really the one essential skill that you have to master your life. You've probably been on many programs and you've read books, and there's 7 habits of this and the 10 keys to this, and really there's only one thing to master, and that's you need to learn to let go of your mental and emotional attachment to what's not serving you. And that is ultimately comes down to a self-concept, which we call the ego in spiritual terms. That is false. It's not who you really are, but it's who you believe you are. And that has a whole thought system related to it that is not helpful, and it causes you and others endless pain and suffering, ultimately death. And it's about undoing that, returning your mind to the true self that you really are. That there's a presence that underlies that false self that hasn't gone away, it's just been submerged. And this is about rediscovering it. So I use an analogy of this is like a sculpture. So when Michelangelo was asked about how he did his sculptures, particularly the David, which is a masterpiece of sculpture, he said, well, all I do is I cut away what's not the David. It's not the sculpture. He just chisels away. So this is the same process, the cutting away of all the thoughts and emotions and the beliefs and the values that you have that don't really serve you, to reveal that true self that you really are. And that process takes patience and discipline. It's not a quick fix, but if you just keep chiseling away daily, which I've been doing for many years, then you make these subtle shifts, but they add up to a profound change of mind. I don't believe that I'm the same self anymore. Who I was 16 years ago before I started A Course in Miracles, that self died. It's no longer there. And yet I'm still alive. I didn't really die. I remember that voice saying, Jesus, this is going to kill you. Because it was the ego going, yeah, this is the death of the ego. But that's the awakening of the mind. The ego has to die for you to awaken to your true self. So if you look at the hero's journey here, which I promised to share as well, so we'll just dive into that. You can see that it ends up in this abyss, this place of death and rebirth, where you don't physically die, but the ego dies. Your sense of a separate self dies. Your self-concept dies, and that's really essential in the journey. That's where it's all leading you. So you start off with a call to adventure at the top here. Are you familiar with the hero's journey? Remember, let's just back up a bit and give you a bit of background.
I like that. I just like the title. I'm just surprised not everybody sort of saw this and ran to it, because I feel like that is what the calling is. It's like we're not here to follow our weaknesses. This is what I think the world has been programmed to do, is to follow our lower selves, our weaknesses, our fear. But to actually follow the hero within us, the heroine, the courage, the bravery. Why aren't we following? And only a few do that. And they win in one way or another. They're winning in a strange way, even in the eyes of everybody else. On a spiritual level, they're winning because they're following their courage, and that takes you into wide open spaces. But if you're afraid, because I've done both, I've lived a life of fear and I've lived a life of courage, and I want to go back to a life of expansion again. And I guess that's what the calling is for everybody. I thought that was for everyone,
Well, it's a universal calling, it is, but not everyone listens. So what Joseph, there's a guy called Joseph Campbell who came up with this based on his readings of many different spiritual traditions, the myths, the legends of the world. He went to all different cultures, religions, traditions, and He said, really, if you look at it, it's really one story. And he called that story the hero's journey. And he framed it in this quite simple way, which is really what genius is. It's like taking what is seemingly complex and saying, well, actually, there's a pattern here, and it's the same pattern. So it starts off with a call to adventure. So you joined tonight based on the information you saw online, and there was a call there. It was like, okay, something resonates with you, something saying, well, join, because I don't know, just there's something in you that says go do that. And so that call has always been put out, but most people suppress it. They're not ready to hear it. They just don't listen, and they just carry on in their normal way, the known world. So this is the known world of the ego. It's who you think you are. It's your self-concept. It's the world your self-concept's created for you. And it seems to be safe and somewhat secure, but there's a part of you that knows that it's not really satisfying. It's not actually serving you. And the heroes are the ones who get restless enough to do something about it. And they go, okay, I just can't stay here anymore. I can't stay in the known. I've got to move. And they listen to the call. Often they refuse it first. So there's a kind of refusal often, but then they eventually listen to it. And then they get guidance. So there's often what we call supernatural aid. You can just have kind of weird, miraculous things happening. I've heard stories of A Course in Miracles book just arriving. Someone just got posted it randomly, and it seemed to belong to no one, and so it just arrives. Or someone happens to call you up and say, I've just been thinking of you, and join a session, and you read about something similar the day before. This kind of the synchronicity, Carl Jung called it. So you get the guidance to really overcome these forces that don't want you to do it. So there's always going to be a force, which is a force of the ego, that doesn't want you to go on the hero's journey, that's trying to resist it. And that can be externalized. That can be friends, it can be family, it can be your life situation, job, it can be financial constraints. There's something that's going to try and stop you, and those obstacles can seem to be insurmountable. But the hero or the heroine is the person who says, no, you know what, I must do this. There's something in me that's deeper, and I'm just going to trust. And I'm going to listen to this inner voice. I don't really know how this is all going to work, but I know that I need to do whatever. And they take the first step, and they cross the threshold. And that's really the beginning of their transformation, because they've made a commitment. They said, okay, things are going to change, and I'm actually doing something about it. And that may not mean they do anything, they go anywhere physically, but they're changing, they're starting to change their mindset. Sometimes the life circumstances do change as well, and they actually go on a physical journey, or they change their life situation. It's very individualized. Everyone's got their own unique hero's journey, even though it's the same journey. The archetype, the pattern is the same, but everyone's going to play that out differently. So your kind of higher purpose is to find and follow your own unique hero's journey to the same source ultimately as everyone else. You get to the same realization that we are one at the end, and that your self is everyone's self. That's the outcome of the journey. But how you get there is going to be very individualized. So you have an individualized curriculum, and only you can walk that path. No one else can do that for you. It's up to you to do it. And when you start going on the journey, it becomes very interesting. It's not boring, and your life starts to come alive. You get all kinds of challenges, temptations come, because that's what the ego does. It's going to try and stop you from doing this journey. But you also get guidance and help in many forms. You get mentors and helpers and guides that come in to help you overcome the challenges. And you start realizing that you're being supported, that you're on this process and you're not alone, that there are mighty powers coming to your aid. And it doesn't matter what the obstacles are, that there's a power in you that can overcome them. And of course, the more you overcome them, the more you start to have the faith that anything can be overcome. Ultimately, one of the first line in the text of A Course in Miracles is, there is no order of difficulty in miracles. So you realize that's the learning. You realize there's no order of difficulty. It's only your own beliefs that limit you. But you have to journey it, and you have to learn this by actually living it. It's not a theoretical exercise. The hero doesn't sit and read books. The hero applies it to their life and makes decisions and takes actions based on that, based on their learning. And all of that leads you down this path to eventually the abyss, which, you know, the ego fears greatly. It's trying to stop you going there. But this is the place where you die. The ego dies. It feels terrible when it's happening because you feel like you're dying, but you're actually being reborn into your true self. And so it's terrible and it's amazing. You know, it's the worst of times and it's the best of times, because at the other end of it, you come out of that and you really are a transformed person. You're no longer the same person. In fact, you realize that you're not even a person. You never really were a person. The personality was not true. That was a false self-concept. Actually, you're just pure awareness, disguised as a person, and that's okay. For, you know, you can wear the clothes of the person, because the spirit, which you've now connected with very deeply, wants to use that person. It needs a character in the dream to use to do its work. So you become the it's called the avatar. You know, you're just guided by the spirit. You completely tapped in and listening to this higher self. This is called the spirit, your soul, many words for it, many names for it, divine presence, source. And it's coming through you, and it's guiding you in your thoughts and your words and your actions. And so it's no longer really you doing it. It's just like you being done through. You've surrendered your ego and you become an instrument of the divine. And that is the state that all the great masters and mystics and yogis and avatars of the world have attained. So it is possible. We have demonstrations of it, and people like Yeshua, I call him Yeshua rather than Jesus because that was his name. Jesus is, again, it's become misunderstood, and a lot of people have a negative reaction to that name, so we changed the name. Yeshua, the Buddha, Siddhartha, Lao Tzu, you know, these are the great masters of history, and they all attained that state. So it is possible, but as you say, it is quite rare, because it's a rare person who will take on the hero's journey and have the courage really to face the ego. But most people would rather stay in the known world and believe that they're safe there, that this is keeping them safe, and they're too nervous to take the step out and you know, break free of the constraints of the known world. But the world needs the heroes to move it forward. You know, the only progress is really spiritual progress. So without the likes of the Yeshuas and the Buddhas and the Lao Tzus, the world remains stuck in darkness. And so the call to everyone is, well, you become the avatar. You be this person who will do this work, and then you return. So once you've had the realization, you've transformed yourself, you realize really at one-ment is everything is one. There's one source, there's one self. I am that self. Everyone is that self. I see it everywhere. I perceive it everywhere, and therefore I'm one with everything. That's the sort of universal experience of enlightenment in all the different traditions. Then you come back with these gifts of the goddess, because they traditionally associate with feminine energy, love, peace, joy. These are not, you know, traditional masculine qualities, although you need some of those. The courage to persist would be, you know, typically a masculine quality. But at this point, you're beyond male and female. You've transcended that. You're gone into the non-duality, beyond the opposites. And then you return, and you can now bring something back to the known world. So you look at the examples of Siddhartha, the Buddha, Lao Tzu, Yeshua. They all did their journey, and then they went back and they taught. They became the teachers, because what else is there to do once you know the truth but to teach it? And so they then become the masters who inspire others to take their journey and help others to take their hero's journey. And so the cycle goes. And the more people that take the hero's journey, the more liberated humanity becomes, and the more likely it is that others will take it, because there are now examples of those, not just few and far between, but but many examples. Wouldn't it be great if we had a society where this was encouraged, where you're like, yeah, go on the hero's journey. This is encouraged, and everyone's encouraged to go on the hero's journey, rather than not. But the nature of the dream is that it's designed to stop you. It's designed to stop you going on the hero's journey. That's how it's been set up. Once you understand it, that this isn't the divine world. This is a world created by the ego to keep you in the prison of the conceptual self, and all the limitations and the lacks and the scarcity and the pain and the suffering that involves. Then you start to understand truly what you're in, and why it is difficult to break free, but that it is possible to break free, because it's been done. The hero's journey is the archetype, the pattern that shows you that, yes, this has been done, and it can be done, and anyone can do this if you're just willing to follow your own hero's journey and listen to the guidance, which is really inspiring. So you realize you're not alone, and when you're going through these things, you realize, well, this is just part of the journey. Yes, of course, there are going to be challenges and temptations and trials, and that's just how it goes. That's the universal archetype. So I accept that, but I'm willing to go through it and persevere through the difficulties to get to the other side, because it's worth it. Ultimately, the other side of this, I finally know who I am. I'm not confused anymore. I know who I am. I know what reality is. I know why I'm here. I have a very clear sense of self, purpose. That's not egoic. There's no sense of a separate self. It's just I know that I'm one with the ultimate self, the ultimate source. And that's an experience that can't really be described. You just have to experience it for yourself. No one can tell you what that feels like. You've got to go on the journey to experience it for yourself. So that's an outline of the hero's journey, and that's really what this whole program is modeled on. It's like, well, yes, you're going to start. There's a call to adventure. You join an initial class like this, and then if you feel the call and it feels right, you commit to it. You break through. You go past the threshold. The first 3 weeks would probably be, this overcoming the threshold, breaking out of that, and then if you carry on, you're on your path. And well, of course, expect challenges and temptations, but then the program is there to help you and support you, and other things will come in and help you and guide you as well, for sure. But as Sally said, it's very comprehensive. So there's guidance, probably more than enough guidance and support, and it works in strange and miraculous ways, because whatever someone needs to hear, that seems to, they show up to a live session, they hear it, and it comes through in the teaching. That's just how it works. And I'm just the instrument. I'm just allowing myself to be used to channel that. I don't channel as such in the most understood sense of it, but it's just this source energy coming through me to do whatever it needs to do, write whatever it needs to write, and speak whatever it needs to speak, and I just kind of show up and allow that to happen. I don't know how it happens, it just happens. I just speak and write, and it's quite a miraculous process, really. That's beyond understanding. So any questions about that?
No, it's just that I'm kind of like going through my own kind of death again. And it's kind of moving into this feeling that I'm connected to divine consciousness. I don't like the word God, because most of us don't. It's like just like it's limited image. It's far bigger than that. But I also feel that it has it's really hard to describe. It's the kind of energy which speaks to you, or speaks to me, sometimes in words, sometimes in messages. So when I'm in the flow, and like when you said that the ego's not there, it's just gone, pushed away, or I just forget I have an ego. I get this, it's like being on a river where you're just going along with this, but you're going to something bigger, the ocean. You're not just going into the underground, you're not going into a cave. You're literally going into bigger and bigger things. And everything gets like pushed out the way. leading you, and then something happens, and then before you know it, you can't hear anymore, you can't connect, and like you say, you get to that threshold when you can't go back out, you can't go over it again, and you get this silence. And then it happens again, and you go back into the flow. And I know why it stops is when I lower my consciousness. I go into either sort of negative thinking, or I listen to the world outside of me, or I worry about something, and then before I know it, I can't listen to the spirit anymore. I can't hear the spirit. It's just gone silent. But as soon as I push that away, the world away, I can hear again. And this is what I mean about this kind of, it's that they are the challenges I've already gone through. It's almost like I've been put through a kind of almost like a huge initiation after initiation of massive deaths and rebirths and resurrections. And I really thought sometimes I wasn't going to make it. You know, I would literally thought either I'm going to kill myself, or the world's going to kill me. I'm just going to get wiped out here. But I keep being pulled out from the brink. And where I am now, I can't recognize myself. Few months, even months down behind me, I don't know who I was then, and I can't believe who I was then where I am now. That's how much it's like a completely different. And it's like when they say you go back to who you originally were, you go back to who you originally were before you were born, I think, or before you were born and born and born and born.
Yeah, well, it's exactly. It's beyond time and space.
Yeah.
You go back to the source, which is beyond time and space. So what this is, Course in Miracles, is a non-dual teaching, saying there is something beyond all matter and all form. And it's that very essence that we're all looking for. You can call it God or the divine or source, or, you know, the white rabbit. It doesn't really matter what you call it. It's just, there's something in us. And because it's our fundamental awareness, it will call to us throughout all time, because you can't ever undo it.
Yeah.
It's the very essence of who you are. And so the call comes from that source. And that call we call the Holy Spirit in the Course language. I call it the remembrance of love. There's a remembrance of, yes, I remember that state that was my original state and still is what I really am. It's never changed. That's the teaching. So whatever you've done to cover that over actually really doesn't matter at all. Whatever dreams you've had, whatever characters you believed you are in the dream, you've been male, you've been female, you've had however many lives, you've murdered people, you've been murdered, whatever it doesn't matter. None of it matters, because that self is untouched. That essence of who you are remains as it always was, because it's eternal and unchanging. And that's where this is coming from. And that ultimate truth is what we're all seeking. There's many spiritualities that don't really go there. They're still dualistic. They still talk about bringing truth into the illusion, and you're going to try and use the truth as you perceive it to make your life here better, and you're going to be a better human self, and you're going to have whatever, abundance. That's a big one. You know, you're going to have wealth, and you're going to have.
The thing about Christian or religion or Christianity is that you kind of like, you've got to be seen to always do in the eyes of what they've mapped out good, but sometimes doing good is not doing good. It's like I've had to do some things that are, from the eyes of everybody else, is not good, but to me it was good, because it was my either protection or my evolution. And sometimes you've got to be the bad guy to do that. You know, sometimes, like they say, somebody's got to take, on the worst scenario, somebody's got to take someone's life as it was worst case scenario to release them from all their pain. I mean, that's the worst case scenario. That's not really right, good example, but someone's going to do sometimes the worst thing to do the right thing. and you've got to face the arrows of everybody else and the onslaught. And sometimes I find myself over the last, like well over a decade, being the only one, or me on my own, standing up against something that was not just and not right, but everybody else were doing the easy route. They were making excuses, and they were covering things up, and I was the only one that was standing on my own and doing only what I knew, what I believed to be right. And it's weird because now I understand it's all coming together now. I understand so much that I never knew before. Where I am now saved me. Where, like, for instance, I'm dyslexic, and that is because I can't think like society thinks. I cannot follow rules the way they tell you to follow rules. I have to think for myself. I have to go outside the doctrine. I cannot be indoctrinated. I have to be able to look at things, and I look at things in a different, like an owl, I look at things upside down, or because I can't comprehend something if I've not experienced it internally or spiritually. And that saved me. Having my own mind saved me, I think, in this day and age, from being followed and being pushed down a tube of this is how you're supposed to behave and this is what you have to do, and could never do that. I always had to go the other way. I was swimming upstream because that was my flow. And now I realize that we're in an age now where you have to have more heroes to go out there in the unknown, because everything that's known is collapsing. All the way we've lived is killing everybody and the earth. And we have to change our ways, and we have to move into a new human being. We have to become new again. We have to die and resurrect. And we're learning how to communicate differently, to live differently. And it's all, I believe it's like, it is a kind of, we're moving away from physical into ideas and creativity and invention. And it could go the worst case scenario, we could end up in space and robotics, and the way that certain society, I don't listen to it, I've just been told today, they reminded me of what the plans are in this country and in certain countries of how they're going to control us. And I don't listen to the news, so it was a bit of a shock. Because they're implanting a reality which isn't my reality. Again, I can't listen to that because my reality is utopia and evolution and expansion, massive, superhuman, basically beyond human, and going against even death, that we are eternal, and that this physical body will have to again change to be a different vessel, and we can change our vessel. And I'm moving into empowerment because I've been disempowered. And I think that's what the hero's journey is. It's empowerment.
It's discovering who you really are, and that self is eternal and immortal. And that's the self that the powers that be don't want you to find, because if you find that self, you're not scared anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
You cannot be controlled. So if everyone finds that self, then the control mechanisms just fall away, because no one will listen to them. So that's the journey we're all on, and it needs individuals to take that journey to inspire others. Without individuals like, I've referred to the Yeshuas and the Buddhas and Lao Zis and these masters. Without them, there would be no inspiration. How would you know that it's even possible? But they lived thousands of years ago. So it's time to, okay, well, who's going to do it now? The call is for the heroes to take their journeys now and inspire the next generations, maybe for the next 2,000 years. I think we're in
I believe that too. I believe that there is an essence of young people which are looking for heroes. They're going, where are our heroes? And they're going to, sometimes it's in music. or
Mm.
you know, art or film, because they are portraying, you know, a brave person who's taken a risk, but they're still a manufactured. If they're in the mainstream, they're manufactured. They're bought. They're told what to sing. They're told how to be, and that isn't really. They're not heroes. They're looking for people to stand up and speak their voices for them. Sometimes you've got to speak for those that don't have a voice, or they want you to say what they already feel. I feel that's, you know, sometimes people think it and somebody has to say it. And I just think that what I feel, I think thousands and billions of people feel the way I do. And if I'm feeling it, I'm sure most people are feeling, if they're conscious, they're feeling it too. But somebody has to, like you say, they have to take that journey. They have to stand up. They have to say something. They have to do something. It's a physical thing, an act, whether it be a change of consciousness.
Yeah,
You have to live
it
the
starts
dream.
with a change of mind, but
Change of mind, yeah.
it you know, it becomes externalized in the you know, so-called physical reality. So I'll share this diagram with you actually. So it might be quite useful. So all these resources are there in the email. You just go and you click on that. There's a course manual. So this we do in the first 6 weeks of the program, starting in December next year. So it's sort of all the background, which I refer to quite often in the session. So this is something called the integral model. A guy called Ken Wilber came up with it, and he talks about, you know, the two different axes, dimensions of reality. There's the individual and the collective on the y-axis, and the interior and the exterior on the x-axis, and where they intersect, you then get 4 quadrants. So this is how, you know, to understand the so-called reality that we live in. So the external world, the world of behavior, observed behaviors, performance outcomes, the various systems that govern society and organizations. For a lot of people, they believe that that's reality. That's all there is. That's called scientific materialism, or flatland. Ken Wilber came up with this model, calls it flatland, because your perception of the world is very flat. So it's like, well, that's all there is, the external world, which is ridiculous, because what drives behavior? What creates the systems and the behavior? Of course, there's a mind, but the ego wants you to believe that there's no mind and you're just a body. So at the extreme of the scientific materialism, they deny that you even have a consciousness and a mind, which is extraordinary. In fact, science can't really deal with consciousness. They don't really know how to fit it into their models, because it doesn't fit the paradigm of scientific materialism, which is that somehow the brain and the body creates consciousness. Well, that's just ridiculous. It's an effect of the consciousness. It's not the cause. So they've got causation all muddled up. It's like the true the effect has become the cause, and the true cause has been denied, and you now don't even believe you have a mind. So the journey is really, you know, to start going into this individual interior domain and exploring, saying, well, who am I really? And where do my values and my priorities, my motivations and my ideas and thoughts and beliefs and emotions, and where does all this come from? What is my source? And if you start to do that, then you're awakening. The journey into the interior intentional quadrant is the journey of awakening. And then you realize that, you know, all behavior and then the collective patterns of behavior systems are a product of mind. And if you change your mind, then things do start to change on the material level. And so this is the way that you become a miracle worker. Things change because you've changed your mind. So Yeshua says, seek not to change the world, but seek to change your mind about the world. Don't try and change this just because you think, oh, well, if I do this, then, you know, I'll be happier in the external. Do it. Change your mind first. Change your mind about your mind. Change your mind about who you are. And then your thoughts change, and that changes the quantum field, which then changes behavior. It changes not just your behavior, other people's. And so you see these subtle shifts in mind then can have profound shifts on the behavioral level, which then show you that your change of mind actually did have effect, and it's actually working, and that then reinforces that new belief, and so you start using this for you instead of against you, because you can use this against you, and believe that the external world is controlling you, and that you're a victim of the external world, and you have very little power, and that's very disempowering. And we've all played that game, but the hero says, no. My mind is powerful, and I'm responsible. Whatever's being shown to me in the external world, I take responsibility for, including all the systems of control. It's just the ego being projected out and being shown to them. And they realize that they can change it by changing their own mind. And that's really what this is about, a deep exploration of your mind. Who are you really? And being able to let go. It comes down to the one simple skill, the one essential skill, is to be able to let go of the misperceptions, the false ideas and beliefs and thoughts and values and emotions that bind you into a false self, that keep you away from your true self. And that's what all spiritual practice and teaching really comes down to. Can you let it go? So there's one universal curriculum. It doesn't matter how you do that, whether you do it through A Course in Miracles, or you take a Buddhist path, or a New Age path, or in the end, it comes down to, can you let it go? You're saying, you lay aside the world, or you push the world away. Well, that's just letting go. You've got to let go of the thought system of the world that is that governs most people's minds, and go against that. So yeah, you have to be a counter, run counter to the collective consciousness. Often it feels like you're swimming upstream, but that's why it's a hero's journey, because it's not easy to do that. Most people just think and behave in ways that they've been conditioned to behave and think in for years, and they're too scared to go against the grain and to stand up and say, no, I don't believe that anymore. And the ones who do are the true heroes of this world. So let's have a quick look at this quote, and then some of the teaching, just to wrap this up. So what I normally, I'm giving you a little taste of how I run the sessions, the live discussion and meditation sessions. I just ask people to read. So if you read the quote, and then the little teaching on it, and we discuss it. Just pause after each paragraph or two, and we'll have a little discussion. How does that sound?
Yeah.
Okay. So read the original. Read the quote. Can you see the screen? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So read it aloud. That's what I mean. Yeah.
You want me to read it out loud?
Yeah, it does.
All right, okay.
If you read it out loud, you'll find something happens.
Happiness is a butterfly, which when pursued is always just beyond your grasp, but which, if you sit down quietly, may come and alight on you.
So a great pointer, really. I try and choose quotes that are just really good pointers and have universal truth in them. If we're seeking, always looking for this thing called happiness, you never find it.
You mean externally? Yeah, if we're looking, if we're doing that.
Seeking externally.
Yeah.
This is the fundamental principle of Buddhism. In the second noble truth, the Buddha, because he noticed this, and he said, if you desire or you crave, and you're always looking, then that's the source of suffering. You're never going to find happiness. You'll always be suffering because you're always looking, and the very desiring is keeping you in suffering. So desire is the source of all suffering, second noble truth. And then, cessation of desire, third noble truth, or letting go of desire, is the key to freedom. So these are, very ancient spiritual principles that have just come to life again. People are starting to relearn them, and then it's called New Age. It's kind of funny. That's not new age. It goes 2,500 years old. It's just formatted in a different way. It's just it's not stated as a noble truth of Buddhism, but it's the same truth. So I'll ask you a quick question. Just pause here. Why are you here? Why are you reading
Want me
these
to
words
answer?
right now? What brought you to this moment?
It was the title, The Hero's Journey.
Hmm.
It talked to me. Yeah, it pulled me.
If you think about it, it's a search that you've been undertaking your whole life, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's been a search, and this is just another form of that search. So you may have been looking. We're all looking for something. That's the human condition.
Yeah.
Most people think that it's better health is a big one, or it's more money, or it's a more fulfilling career, or it's a relationship with your twin soul, your man or woman of your dreams, however you want to define that, or any one of many different goals. Travel, visiting nice places, careers, fancy cars. And this is what the world holds out to us and says, pursue one or more of these things, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
And someone's always willing to sell you your dream for a
Yeah.
price. That's the commercial world that we've invented to try and satisfy these desires. But if you look beyond the form of these goals to what that something is, you'll see that what you've really been searching for all your life is one thing. And you could call it many things, but it's actually one thing. It's happiness. You could call it inner peace. You could call it happiness. You could call it contentment, fulfillment. There's many words, many pointers to a state of mind that is just really okay. You're okay. Everything's okay. And happiness, everything's okay. There's nothing to be afraid of. There's no drama. You're okay as you are. Not sometime in the future, but you're okay right now as you are. And the illusion that the ego spun is that you thought that all these other external goals are going to make you happy. That's the illusion of the world, but they don't seem to work. And yet people still maintain. So if one thing doesn't work, then the ego tells you, well, something else will work. Try something else. So you tried to, find happiness in a relationship. That didn't work. So try it in a career. Try it in making more money. Try it in health. If that fails, try it in a substance. Try it in any number of things. And so we keep, trying, looking externally for satisfaction until we realize that actually nothing that is temporary is going to work.
Yeah.
It's kind of obvious. I mean, it should be obvious. If it's temporary, how can it work? It's not going to be lasting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yet we don't realize it. It's extraordinary. If something is is temporary by definition, then it can't satisfy you permanently because it's temporary. So why do we expect these things to satisfy us permanently and fill our eternal mind, soul, when these things are all temporary and fleeting and they don't last?
Yeah, it's like the commercial world, consumerism is built on the capitalism is built on temporary, on the immediate. So we destroy everything for the immediate need and desire that we've got to have this and got to have that. And obviously, when you die, you give it all away anyway. You go without it, and you keep on. I mean, I've gone through a stage when I was materialistic, and I was so hungry. It doesn't matter how much food I ate, how much alcohol I drank, or whatever, running away, going places. None of it was satisfying. It was just this hunger for more and more and more and more. And then everything just collapsed, and I was saved again.
So you've experienced it for yourself. Craving.
Yeah,
That's what the Buddha called it. Craving there's no happiness there. You can never find happiness. Even if you temporarily succeed, let's say you set a goal to make more money and you hit your goal, the craving returns. It doesn't satisfy you for very long. Now it's like, well, that's not enough. I need more money. So the ego is always better, more, different, always something outside of you. Because if you really find the contentment and the happiness and the satisfaction, then it's out of business. It can only live in the dissatisfaction, which is
what I'm finding.
this is,
What I'm kind of finding now is that we are called, some of us are called, or some of us hear the call to, or follow it, to create something we will not see the end of, because it will go on and on and on and on, and we will go on somewhere else. It's like I just have this feeling that we're called to leave something. Like I keep thinking about great giant trees, and one of them's in Australia, and it's actually a tree, and it's supposed to be a sacred Aborigine rock, and it's not. It's actually a tree stump, because there were great, massive, ancient trees on Earth. And I believe it's like that. It's like we leave something that we plant, that over centuries and I don't know how many years, it will grow and grow and grow. It will be, because some trees are like, don't die. They keep going on and on. It's like that kind of analogy of leaving something permanent, because it will not die, and it does not come from the flesh. It does not come from any, like, all this strange desire to, weird thinking of just thinking, right, well, if I have this meal, I'm going to be fine now, I'm going to be happy. And yeah, you're happy for like 2 hours, and then you want more. Well, I don't want more, but you want more the next day. And it's just this never ending need.
Never ending craving.
Disappointment, because you're grasping all the time. And we are called to leave something completely not of this world on the world, because the world was once in that state, and I think we're returning back to a state of oneness, which I think was the original state of Mother Earth, of Gaia. And she was that state, and then we fucked it all up. And I think now we're going to return. It's like a redemption. We're returning her back to her beautiful state, and us, because I think some of us are like fallen.
That's interesting. So I won't go too much into it, but really what this is saying is the entire illusion, Mother Earth, the planets, the stars, the universe, is all a dream, right? It's all part of an illusion designed to trap you here, to keep you in time and space, to keep you in a separate form, and to keep you away from the eternal self that you really are, which is beyond all of that. So that's where this teaching is coming from. It's saying none of it will work. Right? You're not trying to return to another illusion. You're trying to escape the illusion entirely and transcend all of it, all form. Anything that is form is illusion. That's what a non-dual teaching is saying. So temporarily, yeah, the forms can change and they can seem to be better, and that can reflect a change of mind. But ultimately, you're going beyond all of it. You're going back to source that is eternal, timeless, infinite. There are no limits. It's a limitless state of mind, which is beyond all limits. And this world is defined by limits. So all of these things that we yearn for, the workshops, the motivational books, relationships with a nicer person, a higher paying job, more luxurious or faster car, and anything else that we think we want or need in this world, is a substitute for that eternal presence that we actually want, that we yearn for. But we cover it over and we substitute for it, and we think that the substitutes are going to make us happy, and it just never works. And yet we have a society that's addicted to what doesn't work. We just keep trying the same thing over and over again, getting the same result, and not realizing, well, if you do, the heroes wake up and they say, this isn't working and I need to find another way. But most people still believe that this way is going to work somewhere, even though it's failed them. It's always failed them. They somehow believe that in the future it will work. So the ultimate truth is captured very well in this quote. Happiness is a butterfly, which when pursued is always just beyond your grasp. And interesting, because probably the culture that's been dominant over the last couple of hundred years, the American culture, in the founding document of that culture, which was the Declaration of Independence, it was actually stated that life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness was an inalienable right. They didn't say happiness. It was the pursuit of happiness. And then you have a culture that's always seeking it and never finding it, because that's the way it's been set up. We're going to pursue happiness but never quite find it, which is extraordinary. Now, if that document had been different, who knows? Maybe it would have been a very different culture. Not the pursuit of happiness, the ability to experience happiness right now. That the government of the country should enable that to happen. Everything should be dedicated towards enabling citizens to be happy, not sometime in the future, but right now. That changes everything, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And so, as I said, the Buddha observed 2,500 years ago that desire, or craving as he called it, is the source of all suffering. And suffering can only cease when there's no more desire. Fairly obvious, one would think, but this became this became the second and third noble truths of Buddhism, and everyone said, "Wow, you're so enlightened." He just saw the truth; it was obvious to him. But he had to go through a lot of desire himself to get there. He just about killed himself looking for the truth, and eventually gave up, sat under this tree, and it just came to him. And it was like, oh, well, actually, it's when I give up that I realized I actually have everything. It was always there. I just didn't know it because I was so busy looking for it outside of me that I didn't know that it was already there. And that's why, they say in the Zen tradition that enlightenment is a joke, because you realize I've just been a fool. I've been looking everywhere else, and it's always been there. But it's something that you have to experience for yourself. All very well, the Buddha's done it, but you have to have the same experience yourself to really get it. And that's what the hero's journey is about. So then letting go, he called it right there, the third noble truth of Buddhism. Letting go of desire or craving is the way to end suffering. There it was, okay, right there. Simple principle. So he got it, and then Yeshua lived 500 years later, got it as well. He understood that illness is just some form of external searching. The Buddha called it dukkha, suffering, dissatisfaction. He called it illness, calls it illness, whatever you want to call it. It's anything that's less than perfect love. And that's some form of external searching. And I've got someone with dollar bills, because the money is the symbol of the search. With the money, you can now go searching and you can buy stuff external to you that's seemingly going to satisfy. And so we've created an entire world and an economy based on this external search. So that's how deeply entrenched it goes. So true, or what I call authentic happiness, will never be found by seeking outside yourself. It can only be found within you. And the good news is that it's completely free and always available in unlimited supply. But it has a price, this authentic happiness. Not in monetary terms, but in your willingness to devote the time and give the focused attention necessary to learning how to be consistently happy. That's the price. It doesn't just happen. You have to train your mind, because your mind is so badly trained. You have to untrain it. You have to retrain it to be able to let go of these false desires and accept the happiness now that's there. So this guy Charles Glassman says happiness often relies on just one character trait. And so you might say, which is self-discipline. So you might say, well, the self-discipline to do what? Well, it's to do what are called spiritual practices. Things like meditation and breath breaks, short meditations, mini meditations, and live discussions like this, and reading inspiring words and discussing them. And these are the practices that then allow you to access the truth that's been covered over by all of the false desires and expectations that the ego's invented. And it's to have the discipline to do those practices consistently, so that you train your mind consistently, systematically, and progressively to perceive differently. You now don't buy into any of this stuff. You just don't believe it anymore. And you start to know that there's a deeper self in you that's always there. It's just waiting for you to let go of all of your illusions that cover it over. And the spiritual practices are where the rubber meets the road. That's how you do it. That's why every spiritual teaching of any worth has spiritual practice involved in it, because the teachers know that the only way you're going to attain this is that you need to do something different. You're not just going to get it by belief. You actually have to practice. And so the Buddha created a meditation style called Vipassana, because that was his practice. And Yeshua, in A Course in Miracles, teaches us how to forgive or let go through these mind training lessons that he gives us. And there's a practice. He's saying you need to do these practices to learn this for yourself experientially. And so, that's why I put together a program. I never felt, so I've done the course for many years before I put together this Art of Letting Go program, but I never felt that anything I was reading really did justice to it. It's like such a profound, deep teaching. And I would teach it in once a week or once every 2 weeks for a few hours, and we'd kind of dip into it and we'd read it, and then people would go home and they'd carry on with their lives for another week or two. And I was like, that's just not really cutting it. That's not enough. You're never going to escape this deeply entrenched thought system of the ego, which governs the world, by doing that. So it was a call to take it much higher, much deeper, much further. And 4 years ago, I listened. It was just like, okay, you need to create a program. It started off as a 6-week course where it facilitates people learning this truth through A Course in Miracles. So it started off as a 6-week program. It was an introduction to the course, but it's really, I understood that it was a 1-year program. That actually, to do this course properly would take a year, because it's 365 daily lessons. And then there's a text of about 670 pages. So that's the theory, which goes into the metaphysics. And then there's a manual for teachers, which is like an FAQs. And there's clarification of terms. It's a proper, it's a work. I'll just show you briefly. Have you seen the book? Not really.
No.
So this is it online. There's a preface, there's a clarification of terms, there's a text, there's a workbook for students, there's a manual for teachers, and then there's some supplements, which were scribed later by the same lady. So if you're going to study all of that and break it down into bite-sized chunks, it's going to take you 1 year to do it properly, and not rush it. So that's really been my task and calling for the last 4.5 years. It's in February next year, I'll be finished the program to my obviously, is there any finish line? Because I can keep iterating and improving it, but it's done to this standard, with all the emails, an email every day, with meditations for each lesson, with these kinds of there's a course manual, there's the kinds of resources I've showed you, and every day there's another lesson, which I've then put into. I've tried to make it more accessible by putting images to it. So we changed the language a bit. So my present happiness is all I see. Instead of that, I experience only my present happiness. It's just subtle changes like that. And images which kind of bring the quote to the training to life, and then you click on that and you go into the actual translation. So you can then go and read the original version. There's various preparatory information here. So you then read the original version, which is here, and then alternatively, I give you an alternative version. So if you don't like Christ's vision, you change that to my true self's vision. And that seems to make all the difference for people. So it suddenly just makes the teaching accessible. And they realize, okay, well, just change the language. I don't have to get hung up on the term. Just change it to something else. And so it makes it more accessible for the average person. And that's really the mission of the course. It's like, okay, well, this becomes a teaching that you can learn, you can understand, and you can apply it to your life with the help of this program, which I believe has all been divinely guided and inspired. And you can benefit from it. I give a 3-week free trial. So if what you've learned tonight resonates with you, jump in, join for the next 3 weeks if you feel like this is the right time for you. Join the live calls. We do a session. Let me just jump back into the PowerPoint, which I departed from a long time ago. Just to show you some of the practicalities and the logistics of it. There we go. So we'll go there. Okay. Just escape that. And just take me back there. That was good. So this is just some of the logistics in time and space of it. The first part of the program, the 1-year program, is called the Art of Letting Go course, which is a 6-week kind of introduction, and that starts next year in February, Sunday the 5th of February, for 6 weeks to 43 days to be precise, Sunday the 19th of March. So that's the introduction. If you don't feel ready to dive into the program now, then I advise you to join then. And it's the only time I run it once a year, so I don't do the course again. It's a 1-year program. The course is the start of the 1-year program. You could also start it tomorrow. You're diving in right now. The teaching is universal. Sally didn't join at day 1. She joined about 3 months into it, and she's got huge benefit from it. So you don't have to start at day 1. It's not a linear program. It's a holistic. It goes beyond the linear progression. So you could join tomorrow and get a lot of benefit out of it. But it just depends where you're at. Where you spiritually, mentally, emotionally, financially. These are all the considerations. So think about it and let me know if you'd like to join now, or you'd like to give it a go in February rather than just wait 2.5 months. And just how the program's structured: there's live online discussion and meditation sessions Monday to Friday at 12:30 UK time, and Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays in the evenings. So there's 8 live sessions a week to choose from. No one does them all except me, but you get access to all the recordings. So if you're a member, I record all of it directly onto my phone. I use Telegram, and you get the recordings on Telegram as well as on YouTube. So I live stream it to YouTube, and you can access it either through Telegram or YouTube. And so most people don't join the live sessions. They access the recordings, and then they can listen to it whenever they want. So there's 2 to 3 hours a day. The evenings are generally a bit shorter, so there might be an hour to an hour and a half. So there's a lot of live content, a lot of material all the time. And if you immerse yourself in that, if you actually listen to it, if you join the live calls, I'd recommend you join as many as you can. Just because of the immersion in it. If you're doing this every day, imagine you're doing a masterclass like this every day. You really do start to wake up. It starts to blow out all the cobwebs, and your spiritual journey gets accelerated. And I've seen that working. Someone like Sally, who you heard earlier, she's been doing this for 6 months, and the growth that I've seen in her is phenomenal, because she's committing every day, and she's doing 2 to 3 hours a day of spiritual practice in a focused, directed way. It's not scattergun. It's like in a thought system and in a program that's been well thought out by a master, spiritual master, Jesus Christ, Yeshua himself. And then this program just facilitates that that you can do it in a very guided, facilitated, and immersive way. So I'd advise, join as many of the live sessions as you can in the first 3 weeks, and you'll see if it works for you. In the 3 weeks, you'll know if it's for you or not. And there's no hard feelings. I'm not attached to any of it. So if if you don't join, that's fine. You know, you've got 3 weeks of hopefully something valuable in it. I give away a whole heap of value in these recordings. You know, a lot of people would charge for this. Well, I don't. I just give it away. If you look at the email, so you get this tomorrow if you join tonight. There's a 1-hour guided meditation.
So welcome to.
You can go and listen to that. You can download it. I don't have membership. Maybe at some point I'll do that, but at the moment it's just there's a link and you click it and there it is for you. So because I believe in the abundance of spirit. It's like, well, if you give, you'll receive, and this is my calling. So I give freely, and people seem to like it, and most people stick with the program. I've got a bunch of loyal subscribers as a result. So yeah, as you can see, there's a lot of resources, a lot of material that is all there for you. You can go and play with it. If you do the course, you'll know exactly what all this means, because we go through it. It's part of the 6-week intro course, finding your essence. So I'll just speak to this pack, information pack. This is what we go through in the first 6 weeks. So it's a bit more intensive. There's various processes, which are a really nice lead-in to this whole program, so that you kind of crack the ego. There's some exercises we do where it really brings the ego to the fore, and you get to see it, not just conceptually, and okay, well, that's the ego. It's like your ego, and you get to see it in the mirror, and that's not a comfortable process, but that's what's needed to help you to let it go. So it really is transformational and life-changing if you do it properly and you go through this. And I'm just a facilitator, the guide, guiding you through this process. You see all these exercises here. This is really where it gets interesting. So you start naming your ego's game. And we do an exercise in the 6 weeks live using Zoom, which works almost as well as in a workshop, physical workshop environment. It's really it's very effective, and you get a shift. You get to see your stuff, and let it go through this exercise, and then there's a number of others. Exercise 6 and 7, and I basically guide you through this process so that you come out of the other side, and hopefully, if I've done my job right, and you're ready for it, then you've actually gone through this collapse of the ego. You've gone through the abyss in a guided way, and you come out the other side as a transformed person, knowing who you really are. And then the ongoing journey would be, okay, well, let me consolidate that and go deeper into it, and really learn how to embody it, and make no exceptions. And so then that's the continuation after the 6 weeks of the 1 year, which consolidates the learning. And you really, this is like another operating system. You're learning another way of thinking and being, and that does take some time to really reformat. It's like wiping clean the entire hard drive, and now reinstalling another operating system, and now learning how to use that operating system. Well, that's probably going to take a year at least. In fact, it's the journey of the rest of your life. But in a year, you can really do some profound transformation, and actually change your entire mindset and your entire life because of it. So when I say it's a life-changing program, it is if you do it properly. So 8 live Zoom sessions per week. Where's the PowerPoint? There we go. So that's anything from 16 to 20 hours a week of content, fresh, original content coming through every day. So you can really immerse yourself in this. If you want to spend that length of time listening, doing the live sessions, you can. Most people don't, but you can take this program as deep as you want to spend as much time as you can, as you want to. There is, I'll be totally upfront, there is an investment after the 3 weeks. So I'm just going to cover that quickly so that you know. That is, where we probably skipped a slide. Let's just go back here to the actual value of it. I tried to sort of kind of put this into some kind of logical format of, what is the actual value of this. It was quite difficult because there's so much to it. But if you were valuing the components individually, the course would be valued at over £2,000. And I haven't got time to go into the breakdown of that, but I'll do another masterclass in January where I do that. So join that if you're interested. But it's really composed of things like the meditations. So if you're doing a live online meditation, that just once off, that would typically be charged at £10 an hour. Live online discussions, again, £10 an hour. Recorded meditations, breath breaks, discussions, well, just charged a pound for an hour. And then you get these emails which are content rich, well, £1 a day for that. And if you just stack that all up, you get to like 14 grand. Now, no one's going to pay that. I get that, but that is the value if it was itemized individually. So there's a lot of content, that valuable content in this. But really, these are, in the end, it comes down to what's people's experience. So this is just a smattering of some of the testimonials that people have given, which I've just cut out of Telegram and WhatsApp and pasted in here, and you can read for yourself. Thank you for this incredible guided meditation. So far attended 3 LG. This was Sally months ago. Followed most. I've made more progress in these last few days than all the years of my own study. Thought I understood the course. She's talking about A Course in Miracles, but Jonathan's helped me experience it far more deeply. Last couple of days of doing this program have been filled with lots of miracles, wiles, and deeper realizations. I'm open to many more too. Many, many thanks. So people do have these profound experiences because it's the truth, and the truth is powerful. So you can be one of these too if you choose to dive into it. So there are the dates and the stuff, and then in terms of investment. So I showed you what it's worth. Well, I'm only proposing that for a full unlimited membership, people pay £500 a year, which is, you can pay that for a weekend workshop, you probably know. So I'll try to make it affordable because the point is, it's not about the money. It's about trying to get people on the program actually using it consistently in a way that's sustainable for them in every way, including financially, so that they can actually do this. And it becomes like a spiritual gym membership. So you can do it up front, £500 for a year, which is what Sally did. And she's got enormous value out of it. She joins probably 3-4 live calls a week, which are 2 to 3 hours. So, she's getting huge value out of that. Or £50 a month, if you want to break it down into a monthly subscription. So, it's like your spiritual gym. So that's the top. That's what I call a limitless program, where you get access to everything, all the live sessions, all the daily messages, all the recordings, £500 up front or £50 a month. But if that's, you don't feel like you need to do all the live sessions, you can do 3 live sessions per week. So some people just say, well, three's enough, and that's only £250 up front or £25 per month. Or you just dip your toe in and do 1 live session per week, and that's £125 up front or £12.50 a month, which most people can afford, I would think. If you've got some kind of income, then £12.50 is probably not going to break the bank. So if you can't afford the top package, then go for the dipping your toe and start there. At least you're engaged.
Can you start off with like the 3 and move into the 2?
Yeah. Start wherever you want.
So you could go upwards.
You could dip your toe in and say, look, I'll start at that, and then if I like it, I'll progress. And to start with, I'm not charging anything. The first 3 weeks are free. So you jump in and then in 3 weeks you'll kind of know where you're at, and you'll see how many live sessions you've joined, and then you'll go, okay, well, I think based on my experience of the 3 weeks that maybe I'll just go on the 1 live session per week because I've only managed to do 1 a week, if that's okay. Well, then that's your level. That's where you start. If you really love it, like Sally did, she took to like a duck to water. She just went, I'm up for this. I'll just jump in and pay £500 up front and jump in for the year. So that was what was right for her. So I've tried to structure it in a way that's like, well, you can choose which package works for you. And if you want to upgrade, you can. If you come in at £12.50 a month and you say to me after 2 months, look, I'd really like to dive a bit deeper, it's fine, just upgrade, pay the difference every month. So it's very flexible. I've tried to make it very flexible, affordable, accessible for people. So it actually helps them change their life, because that's the whole point. And the money ultimately will look after itself, because if enough people do this, then it's very scalable, this program. I could have 100 people on a Zoom call, and as many people as I like getting the emails and Telegram messages. So it's very embryonic. It's still, there's only 20 people. So you still, honestly, in the live sessions, it's like sometimes you get one-on-ones with me. Sally and I do one-on-ones most days because no one else is joining. They're getting the recording. So if you want to jump in, you're getting huge value, because you can get like a live coaching. Coaching, I charge £40 an hour for my coaching. Well, effectively you're getting that at £12.50 a month. You're getting hours and hours and hours of that. So because I don't want to overcharge for it. If I said, well, it's £100 a month or £200 a month, most people would just go, that's too much. So that's where it's coming from. And hopefully I've done enough to there's if you watch The Matrix, there's the knock on the door. It's like, it starts with the hero asleep at his computer and it's knock knock. So that's what I've done tonight. I've knocked on the door and said, will you follow the white rabbit? Follow the white rabbit down the rabbit hole of your own mind and start your hero's journey of finding your true self. And that's the core. So if it's resonated with you, which I think it has, then I'd encourage you just to jump in tomorrow. If you say, yes, I'm up for it, all I need is your email address and your mobile number, and I add you to the mailing list, and I add you to the Telegram. Are you on Telegram?
I'm on WhatsApp. I don't do Telegram. I haven't advanced myself.
Yeah. Well, if you want to do this, I'd recommend joining Telegram, because it's better than what I use it, because it's a better platform.
Is it better? Yeah.
It allows you to. It doesn't actually send the message because it's all on a server. So, not to get too technical, but the amount of content I send, it clogs up people's phones. Like if I'm sending meditations, and people are going, my phone's getting full. So with Telegram, it sits on a server and you download it from the server. It doesn't go onto your phone.
Right.
Which means that your phone stays relatively clear. You're just getting the text is on the phone, but the actual the content, like the meditations and images and stuff, is not, unless you choose to download it. So it's much more, and I can also edit the material. So if I've made a mistake, then I can just go in and edit it, because it's all sitting on the server, rather than once you send a WhatsApp message, that's it, it's gone. You can delete it, but you can't edit it. So it's a better system, and it's also not controlled by Facebook, which is also because Facebook are part of the whole system. So so I use Telegram. So that's just, if you've got a smartphone or tablet, you can go download it free and join. And so I send the content out daily on email and on Telegram as well. So I'll just show you, where are we? There's quite a few too many apps open. I use WhatsApp as well, but Telegram is for the ALG club members. So there's an example of the message. That's today's message. So you get it on Telegram. For some people, the email's too much, so then you get the same content on Telegram. There it all is. There's today's quote, there's a quote, and then there's a bit of teaching around it, and then sometimes I bring in other quotes, sometimes from that one's from the Bible, talking about Moses' mystic experience, and it just kind of frames it all, and you read it, and then in the live sessions we actually go through this. We read it just like we did today. I read it and unpack it and understand it, and I bring in bits from A Course in Miracles. And so what starts to happen in your mind is you realize there's just one truth here, and all these different channels, different religions, different teachings, they're all really teaching the same thing. It's one simple truth, whether it's Eastern spirituality or Western or whichever path, it's the same truth. And every day you get something like this. It's sometimes not quite as long. Today was quite long. Just depends. When I do it, it's a creative process. It's just, okay, well, I'm doing this, and it just comes through. And sometimes I pull in stuff that I've shared before, and it's a bit of a review. And it comes out every day. So every day you get this content, and then a mind training lesson, which is from A Course in Miracles. So you get there's a key idea, and then you get meditations on it. So there's two longer meditations and a short breath break, which is designed to be practiced every hour. And then you get the material. So the same one I've shown you, that's opens Google Chrome, and there you go, and it opens for you. And then you've got all the material there which you can read and you can study. So it's very comprehensive. You've got all the resources there, either on Telegram, on your mobile, or on email. If you prefer email, then it's all there on email, with more on the email. It's designed to be a very, very comprehensive program with all the resources that you need to study and learn as much as you can from A Course in Miracles. So there you can see that's an example of the Telegram message I sent. And then today we did a live session, so then I post that to the group, so you can listen to that. There we go. It's like should be playing.
All right.
So you can listen to an hour of, and then I try and break it up into sections so you can kind of itemize it. And then in the afternoons I send out a follow-up message saying, well, there's all the recordings, and there's your Telegram message, there's your YouTube recording. So if you go there, that takes you to the live stream. You can listen to it.
All right.
So I try to make it like as accessible as possible. So that's your email, great. So I'm just going to stop my share. So you don't want to share that, and there's your mobile, great. So would you like to join us on our journey?
Yes, I would.
Great. Yeah, well, fantastic. Thanks for joining and staying till the end. So I will add you to the mailing list. I'm going to ask you just to I'll send you via WhatsApp a document to just if you can follow the instructions to whitelist the email from which it's come in your Gmail, so that you make sure you get them and it doesn't go into spam or anything like that. If you do that tonight, and then tomorrow morning you'll get an email. They generally go out around 8-9 o'clock. Just depends on how much, because I've got to produce them every day. So, but I generally send the Telegram message first, so you get that like 6-7 o'clock in the morning. So it's there for the morning practice. You can actually meditate, listen to the meditation in the morning, and then 12:30 you can join the live session every day, Monday to Friday. So jump in tomorrow if you want. It's the same Zoom login, but I include the login in every email and the Telegram message. You can join any of the sessions for 3 weeks, and I'd advise you, do what Sally did. Just jump in and say, okay, for 3 weeks I'm not going to do anything else. I'm going to give this my undivided and give it a chance to really work miracles, and don't scatter my energy. Just do this, and then after 3 weeks you'll know. This will either be for you or not, and you'll have given it a full go. And I suspect it probably will be. It sounds like you're ready and you're open. You haven't come here by accident. So dive in and I'll see you on the inside.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So any other questions or comments or anything you're not sure about? Now's the time to ask.
I understand what Sally said about the scattering. It's because I literally do this, do that, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so confused. And yeah, it is. It's just too dissipating. Your energy's going off everywhere, and it really isn't helpful.
And you're doing the same thing. You're seeking. See, you said it's in spiritually, but you're still seeking and seeking. And this is a program about finding, saying, well, look, just focus on one thing and go deeper into it. You're not going to find the truth by scattering your energy and flitting around. I call, it's like being a spiritual dilettante. It's like you're just seeking and seeking and getting a bit of this and a bit of this. And actually progress is made when you go deeper. And you say, okay, so let's focus on one path and let's go deeply into that. Because in the end, it's the same truth. Whatever path you take, you'll come to the same conclusion. And you're just avoiding going deeper by scattering your energy and staying on the surface. And that's part of the journey, and everyone does it. We've all searched and taken a bit of this and a bit of that. My prayer really 16 years ago, well, before 16 years, it was sort of from about 2000. I really just said, I want to know the truth here. I want the ultimate truth. I don't want to mess around. I'd read various spiritual teachings. I'd read Eckhart Tolle, and I'd read Conversations with God, and I'd read the Urantia book, and whatever I could lay my hands on, a lot of stuff. It was like, but something's still missing. I want to know the whole deal. Give it to me straight was really my prayer. And then I came across A Course in Miracles, and I was like, whoa, okay. Finally, I think we're getting to the truth. Something in me just said, this is it. You're not going to find it anywhere else. It's right here. You don't need to look anywhere else. It's here. The truth is here. So just apply yourself and go deeper into this and learn this. And I'm 16 years into the journey, and I'm still going deeper every day, because there's no depth, there's no limit to it. It's a limitless, infinite truth, eternal truth that you're studying. So there's these deeper levels of significance that unveil themselves as you go. It's like before, like what was obscured, suddenly you go, oh, I get it, and I get it, and then you get it again, and you get it again at a deeper level, and that's just the most miraculous process. That's the hero's journey of awakening, and you really come alive. You go, oh my God, I'm actually learning what I came here to learn, finally. And that's the most exciting, exhilarating, thrilling, and sometimes challenging process that you can go through. And that's what this is all about. So, just dive in. And just dive in and say, look, suspend everything else. Do just this for 3 weeks. And then if you want to go back to whatever you were doing, that's fine. You can. It's not going to go away.
Because what I do is I go into very imaginative new age meditations and shamanism, which I really do believe in, because it's earth energy and earth magic. But I also go into dimensional dragons and Atlantis and the moon, because I really like the idea of going off into these magical places. But I'm drifting off. I mean, I do Kundalini yoga as well, so I'm doing, and I'm going back into Kundalini yoga because it's just so transformative. But one thing I just wanted to say, that what led me tonight is a really weird journey. I went from couldn't hear spirit because I'd gone off track again, and then I basically go to bed really late at this point in my life. I'm going to bed really late and only getting a few hours sleep. I'm becoming a bit nocturnal, and I'm watching movies and programs really late because I do my music, and then I'll go upstairs and I'll watch some TV for 2 hours or something. And there was a spirit that's been coming in and watching me, waiting for me to watch a horror movie or something as scary. And I didn't notice until recently that his presence was there. It was a male energy. And so I confronted the energy, because that's what shamanism tells you, to go into the unknown and face it. So I was confronting it, but it didn't go away. It kept coming back. So I ended up watching Samson, a biblical story. And it was a really bad movie. It was so bad. But the Holy Spirit was going through it. the truth was going through, even though the acting was terrible and the storyline was awful and everything. But still, the fact that even if it's just mythical and it's not all true and everything, but the analogy was face the impossible and create. Somebody had to do it, and it was Samson. He was the hero. He had to be the only one with his strength, with a ridiculous strength, went out there to face the foe, face the enemy. And then they all followed him because of his feats of courage. Somebody had to go out there and do it first, and then the whole armies followed them, but only after his death. And then I came to you after that. So it's just like a weird kind of, because I can hear spirit again. I can hear consciousness talking to me again. And it's back. I'm back in the track again. So it's just so weird how it's evil darkness, because that's what it's like, kind of like a dark entity that wanted to feed off my fear, push me to the light. Whereas in the past, I would have even noticed it was there, and it might have gone into my head, and I would have had these dark thoughts and, you know, gone into fear and everything, which I think everybody does if they're not conscious. So that I'm compelled that some people have to keep awake, that they cannot go into distraction. They cannot go into, you know, you're consuming loads of things, whatever they consume. It's all unconsciousness. Some people have to keep on watch, because I think there are a lot of disembodied spirits that probably were always there, invading people one way or another, and the whole system is based on lower chakra needs and desires, which is all flesh orientated and temporary, and it destroys everything, including ourselves. Because when we get trapped and then we keep going back to the same reality over and over again, because we don't know we have a choice, that we are actually, and what we're saying really is about freedom. You're liberating the spirit. You're breaking the chains and saying you actually are more. You can be anything. You can do anything, because you are one. You are one energy, and it's just liberating us. That if there isn't just one planet, that means we can go anywhere and go into
ultimately
any
you go to infinity and eternity. So you go beyond. You go beyond what is illusory. You go beyond Atlantis and whatever fantasy you can imagine. It doesn't stand up to true reality, right? So foundational reality, base reality, beyond the illusion of time and space.
You're talking about, you're literally moving into a guide, a spirit guide. This is probably your journey. You're becoming the guide. So you're like one of the ascended ones.
I'm just a channel. Okay, that's all I recognize it's not really me. It's speaking through me. You know, so if you're willing, then the spirit comes in and it starts to use you as a channel for its teaching. And I mean, how do I do what I do? I don't know how I do what I do. I just do it. It happens. I just speak. The words come. How do I know what I'm going to say? I don't. That's the whole point. It just unfolds, and you realize that I'm just being done through. There's no conscious, you know, effort or like, oh no, I've got to say this or do this, or you know, it unfolds, and it all happens. And this masterclass, it just happens. It just comes through me, and then you know you then get access to that, and that inspires your own connection to spirit. You then go, oh, okay, so now, you know, I'm accessing the same source. We're all the same. It's just coming through a channel to it has to come through a vehicle and a channel in this world. Otherwise it can't, you know, it can't help. And so I'm just, you know, I'm someone who's allowed myself to be used for that purpose, and really pretty single-mindedly dedicated myself to that over the last 4 years. It's been obviously a journey, and you know, I believe this is my calling. This needs to go out to many more people, because this teaching is life-changing. I wanted to, you know, that word is so cliche, isn't it? Life. Oh, this is a life-changing course, or life-changing. I wanted to actually create something, not myself, but you know, with the help of the spirit, that actually did really do what it said it would do. It wasn't just, oh, we've said it. It really fundamentally will change your life if you do it properly. If you don't do it properly, well then, obviously it can't really work. But that's just how any program.
I thought that recently as well, going on what you said, that people don't want to do a work. They don't want to work. And it isn't work, if you know what I mean. It's actually, it's a labor of love. It's not, it's actually enjoyable. And people don't want to control themselves, but actually control is freeing. Discipline is freeing.
Well, that's the thing. As I said, the self-discipline, to discipline your mind and control your thoughts and let go of the negative, is what then opens the way to freedom. So the price of freedom in this world is self-discipline. If you can't discipline yourself, then someone else will discipline you.
Yeah,
that's how it works.
exactly.
Someone else is going to control you and tell you what to do.
Rule or be ruled.
You have no. So it requires this willingness to discipline yourself and do a program like this. But it's not a lot. I mean, it's not like you have to flagellate yourself or something. It's just, okay, we'll just do meditation every day and read a lesson every day, and just integrate it into your life. Find a way to make this part of your daily life and your practice, that this is the way you live. So it's no longer, oh, I'm going on a course, I'm going on. So no, this is the way I live. As Sally said, it's just part of my day. She structured her day. She works for herself, which helps. So she structures her day, so she keeps 2 hours free, 2 to 3 hours free in the midday from 12:30, because that's her time. That's her investment in herself.
I've got half an hour for lunch, so it's not my time.
Huh?
My lunch is half an hour, so I can't do it. I can do on days off.
Yeah, well, so then that's the point. You work it according to your schedule. So join for half an hour if you can, because that's the taste of it. If you can't do the live session, do the recording in the evening. Listen to the recording. Find a way to make it work for you and integrate it into your life. And that's what the 3 weeks is about. Like find a way to work for it. I don't want your money until you're sure this will work for you. And if it works for you, then yes, there's a fair energy exchange. But otherwise, if it doesn't work for you, I don't want your money. Try it and see. I think if you commit to it, it should work for you. But who am I to say? I don't know. Maybe it doesn't. So there's many approaches. Maybe this approach, that there are people who've said, no, this doesn't work for me because I want to study the course myself, or I don't like structure. I like to just free flow. This is too structured for me. Okay. Maybe that's just an ego defense.
I quite like structure. I think you need it.
I think you do. You need a certain, especially to start.
You do need some kind of limits. You do need them, definitely.
So you put the structure in place. It's like the training wheels, because you're training yourself. And at some point, maybe you don't need it. If once you're perfectly enlightened, I think all those structures and those, it just kind of starts dissipating. You go, well, I just am what I am, and I allow myself to be guided all the time by the spirit. But when we start off, that's not the case. Some structure is helpful, and Yeshua understands it. So he's given us a structure, and he said, okay, we'll do this every day. You're going to do a mind training lesson, and you're going to practice it in the morning, and you practice it in the evening, and in between, remind yourself of it as frequently as possible, ideally every hour. That gives you some structure. So you're actually practicing this regularly, because he knows the only way you're going to change your mind is if you practice it. If you go, well, yes, I want higher consciousness, and I want the spirit and etc., but I never practice changing my thinking, and I'm not challenging the ego, then it's not going to happen. It's just a pipe dream. So it's the practice where the rubber meets that's where the rubber meets the road, and that's what actually takes you forward on your journey. And that should just be a daily, systematic, progressive. Okay, this is just what I do. Every day I do the practice. It's part of my daily life, part of my routine. I've integrated it into my life, and then you have a formula for really deep and quite accelerated spiritual growth. If you can get a regular practice going and stick to it, and that's exactly what the ego doesn't want you to do. So it's going to try and sabotage that by going, oh no, but there's this, go and do that, or go and do that, or keep scattering your energy and not focusing.
Oh no.
So, you know,
That's where I've
just
been going wrong.
for 3 weeks, for 3 weeks, just focus on this. Put aside everything else and just give it its due and say, okay, I'm just going to do this material for 3 weeks. And after that, you can make a decision, say, yes, it's for me, or yes, it's, or no, it's not. And you probably will never look back if you do that, because this will take you to the highest. You have a calling. Everyone has a calling to go to the highest possible version of themselves, and that's the Christ.
Yeah, yeah.
That's who you really are.
Right.
We all have that in us, and this will take you there because it's given by a teacher who attained that state. Yeshua attained that state, and he lived it and he walked it so purely and truly that he did transcend death. He resurrected. He just said, none of that, there are no limits. None of those limits apply anymore.
Well, he's eternal because we're talking about him now, and he's like,
Yeah.
it's a very long time ago.
You're talking about, we're here to leave something, a legacy. Well,
he
he
left
did.
something behind.
He left a
because it
legacy
was-
for those who have the eyes to see, to follow, to say,
Yeah.
yes, this man did something extraordinary. So let me follow in his footsteps because I can learn something from him. So I want to escape the matrix. I'm gonna go and learn from someone who's done it, not someone who's still trying to do it, still human, still trying to work through their ego issues. Go to someone
Yeah.
who's done it. He's got out. He knows the way. And so now he's shown us. The course is a channeled teaching. Well, not channeled, it was transmitted. So it was transmitted to this lady called Helen Schuckman, who's a research psychologist in New York. And she had a colleague who helped her write it down. And he chose a vehicle to channel it or to transmit it because the time was right. He realized this is the time. 1965 was when the hippies came along and consciousness was suddenly expanding. He was like, okay, now's the time. I've waited 2,000 years to give my message because the world hasn't been ready for it. Now I'm going to give directly. He spoke to her. She said she just took it down like a rapid fire dictation. And she just wrote what this voice dictated to her.
Well, you've noticed that with all, like obviously on a biblical level, that those people, they hear the voice of God and they listen, they follow it, and it creates massive change, whether they exaggerate or whatever, but they still, it creates people that they inspire because they listen to the call of the voice.
Yeah. And so they did, and they produced A Course in Miracles. And now it's up to the next generation to say, okay, what am I going to do with this teaching? For me, it's like, well, no one is doing full justice to this teaching in terms of a program that really helps people to immerse themselves and study this in a systematic, disciplined way. I couldn't find a program like that. So I went, okay, well, I better create it. Someone's got to do this. And when I took it on, I had no idea how much work it was. I mean, I kid you not, I've spent thousands and thousands of hours on this, just disciplined, focused, like every day I spend 5 to 6 hours developing content, recording meditations, delivering, then there's 2 to 3 hours of live sessions. So, I mean, it's just a calling. But because of that, you're getting the benefit. There's so much material in this program that can inspire you and awaken you. That it could probably keep you busy for years because there's such depth to it. You're just not, in the first year, you're not going to do all of it. It's not possible probably unless you were doing it 8 hours a day listening. So it can become the way out of the matrix. And that was what I was inspired to create by the Spirit. So take advantage. It's been done for you. You've arrived here for a reason, and we're doing a one-on-one effectively. There's no one else. Well, that's obviously all by divine design.
Yeah.
So here we are. Just jump in. I didn't know you 3 hours ago, but now suddenly it's like, well, there's the invitation, there's the hero's call, the call to adventure, isn't it?
Yeah.
And well done. You've jumped in and said, okay, I'm up for this. So yeah, watch what happens in the next 3 weeks.
So you're gonna give the link then, and I'll start tomorrow.
Yes, so I'll email you every day.
Yeah.
You've got all your resources here in the email. So I'll send you a follow-up message to this as well. In the let's share my screen again. You get access to an email like this every day with all the materials. So your meditations, a lot of people don't know. They get halfway through and they go, "Well, this is like already so long." But if you go down here, there's a daily schedule. So there's a recommended, okay, we'll do this first up in the morning. So if you can spend an hour meditating in the morning, do this meditation. It's really powerful. Will just help you to start the day on the right note. So it's a deep letting go meditation, and then you do your essence statements. I've given you again a guided meditation to do this. So give it all a go. Do it and just see how it works for you. Do this whole program, and you'll find it's fairly life changing. And then you get to the actual lesson for the day, and then during the day you got the breath breaks to top you up. So it's like deep immersion in the morning, and then you top up through the day, and then again you do in the evening. There's another, when you've got a bit of downtime, you can then listen to the live session if you missed it. So that will stream straight to the live session. Should do. Let's see if it works. I haven't tested that for a while. Oh, there we go. So there you go. So that streams to this afternoon's live session. See, so there it is for you. All accessible, easy, click away, and it's there. So use it. Use these resources. There's some reading. You can go read that. So that's part of the text that we're studying. And then there's a meditation for the evening. So, okay, fancy doing a 15-minute meditation.
So hello and welcome
go.
to this short.
So it's all there for you. Just use it. The Spirit's giving it to you, saying, "There you go, Eden. It's all there for you. Just dive in and use it to find who you really are. Discover yourself.
Thank you.
Rediscover yourself." So yeah. So thanks for joining. Let's just shall we just finish with a little 1-minute closing. So just close your eyes. Take a nice deep breath in. And just give thanks for the evening, what you learned, for the hero's journey. And someone's ringing the bell, so I guess that's the that's the end of the session. Yeah, just carry that sense of gratitude with you, and look out for my email tomorrow. I'll send you tonight. I'll send you a message in follow up with the instructions to whitelist my email address. So if you can implement those before tomorrow morning, then you'll make sure you get the email.
Thank you very
Okay,
much
so thank you,
for
Eden,
your energy.
and namaste.
Namaste.
Okay, bye for now.
Thank you.